Let's start it off with number 10. Desktop speakers for PCs and consoles definitely fall within this $50 sweet spot. So if you are looking to boost up your sound, the first one we can recommend is the Aurrion Legacy AR504LR. This is a 70-watt speaker system that gives you a left and right speaker and a subwoofer. And honestly, the subwoofer is what you want, and for this price, it's pretty good. The enclosures look simple and nice, nothing really too flashy. It will fit in pretty well on your desktop or next to your TV. And it comes with a wireless remote, which you may find pretty useful. One of the biggest reasons we're recommending this is not only is it good for PCs, but it also hooks up to your PlayStation 4 and Xbox One as well. They're not perfect, but they're pretty hard to beat for the price. What does come close though, we also linked below, is an updated version of the speaker system we recommended last year, and that's a Cyber Acoustics 30-watt powered speaker system. This is another subwoofer-based system, and it looks a little different, and it may be more in line with your taste with a little less features and stuff, but still nonetheless a decent product. And at number 9, we can recommend the bundled Xbox One chat pad with the chat headset. You can get them both combined for about $30, and the chat headset can plug right into the chat pad. And for the sake of trying to keep this list balanced between PS4, PC, and Xbox One gamers, we think Xbox players are definitely going to want to use this, especially if you want to use the keypad on screen. Now you can use the chat pad to send all the hate messages in Xbox Live to your heart's content. It's important to note that this is compatible with both versions of the Xbox One controller, the older original ones and the newer updated ones. The QWERTY keyboard is actually pretty useful, and I honestly do use it to message my friends occasionally, because sometimes I just don't want to hear their damn voices. But when I do, you know, the basic Xbox chat headset does come in handy. It's easy to use, you can hear your friends, and the quality is decent. For the price, and especially if you don't want something bulky, it can't be beat. Another useful thing about the chat pad is that it actually comes with 2 programmable buttons that you can make it do whatever you want. It's good for programming it to a certain app, or maybe if you want to make it a screenshot button. The chat pad is just a good little device. And at number 8, since I like to include a little VR stuff here and there, we can recommend the PowerA storage case for PSVR. If you are one of the people who jumped on board for a PSVR as an early adopter, I can definitely recommend this storage case thing. I've been using it because honestly, the box that it comes in doesn't really work for any long-term storage. The PowerA case is nice. While it's not going to store every single part and aspect of the PlayStation VR system, it can hold the headset and cables very nicely and very comfortable. And that's good because it's an expensive product and you want to protect it. And since we are talking PS4, we also included a link to the PlayStation 4 camera, which you can usually now find for under $50. I actually went out of my way to link the old model because the newer, updated version, I don't like the way it looks, but that's up to you. And at number 7, for you console gamers, let's talk controller charging. The first thing we can absolutely recommend for this budget is the Xbox One Play and Charge Kit. Honestly, if you don't have one already, I don't know what you're doing. It's much nicer to rely on a rechargeable battery instead of just double A's that makes your Xbox One controller feel like a toy. Now you can charge your Xbox One controller like you charge everything else in your house. It's a no-brainer replacement, and I still don't understand why Xbox doesn't just include this standard on their controllers. One of the nicer bases we can recommend for both consoles is a Nyko one. The Nyko Charge Base is pretty much the best all-around solid charging case that can charge 2 controllers at once and look nice like a little display while doing so. The Nyko Charge Base for Xbox One actually comes with their own batteries, so you wouldn't have to get the Play and Charge Kit if you got this charging base. It's a nice little 2-for-1 type of thing. There's little LED icons that tell you when charging is in progress and when it's complete, and we also linked the PS4 version, which is basically the same thing except the design is a little bit more low profile, and I personally prefer it. Both charging bases make it nice and easy to just simply pop your controller on it and charge and forget about it. And that's the most important for these, right? And at number 6, we recommended these last year, got a lot of good feedback from you guys, and they've updated them for the newer consoles, so we're gonna bring them up again. Hide-it mounts are pretty cool, although it might be for a very specific situation for you. What these mounts do is allow you to easily install your console onto a wall. And I know that sounds really crazy, but it's a good application for some people, like some adults with kids who have a habit of touching and turning off all the devices in their home, or maybe a dog that likes to piss on your DVR. Now with the hide-it mounts, you can have these things higher up and out of reach, and I've seen a lot of people mount them basically behind their TV that's mounted on the wall, and it's a really nice look. The designs for most of these for PS4 and Xbox One and even the PS4 Pro are very minimalist and sleek, so you don't really see a lot, and it kind of looks like your console is just floating on the wall. It's very nerve-wracking to have your console just hanging on a wall there. It looks like it could fall off at any moment, but they secure pretty nicely. And at number 5, since we like to include them too a little bit, let's talk about mobile gaming. Okay, just bear with me because I know some of you guys flip out anytime I mention playing a game on iOS and Android. But if you are the type of person that does like to do that once in a while, and you want to do it more comfortably and play games more like a normal human would, the first one we can recommend is the Mad Catz Micro CTRL-I. We've recommended similar versions of this before. This is the one for iPod, iPhone, and even iPad, and it's one of those products that is basically a fully functional controller with a screen mount on top of it. And in terms of actual controller design, designs, we think the Mad Catz one is probably the most comfortable and the most familiar feeling. It also has lots of supports with different iOS games on the App Store, so that's probably going to be useful if that's your type of thing. We can actually recommend a slightly different one for Android. It's called the PowerA Moga Pro Power, and this one has a similar type of stand that mounts on top of a controller and it folds down, which is pretty nice, and it fits a bunch of different Android devices. You know, support for these things can be hit or miss and very tricky to find the right games, but when it works and it's all set up, it's pretty awesome. This one works with basically any Android device, connects via Bluetooth, and it's nice and closely designed to the Mad Catz one. And at number 4, we can finally acknowledge you PC players a little more with some products that are probably cheaper than you might expect. The first one is actually the Steam Link. While the Steam Link isn't for everybody, in certain situations it can be really, really awesome. All you need to do is set it up, hook it up to a TV, connect it to your Wi-Fi network that your gaming PC is also connected to, and the Steam Link's tech inside allows you to easily and nicely stream your PC games from your beefy gaming PC to any other TV in your house. It's a simple little low-profile device with a couple connections, and it's pretty versatile, and if you've gotten into PC gaming but want to take it away from a desk, the Steam Link is a surprisingly nice and elegant solution to that. And since we're at it, we might as well recommend the Steam controller as well, which may be an ugly looking guy, but he ain't so bad. It just takes some getting used to. The Steam controller definitely isn't perfect for every single game, but it does work very, very nicely with the entire library itself, and the dual trackpads with surprisingly interesting and useful haptic feedback tend to be pretty useful for certain types of games. We did want to recommend it to you guys in case you didn't know. And at number 3, let's talk keyboards, starting off with the Logitech G105. This usually runs a bit higher than $50, but it's also on sale most of the time, most online places, so keep an eye out. This is one of Logitech's most basic gaming keyboards, but it is, thankfully, at least designed with gaming in mind. It's got some pretty nice looking blue backlighting and programmable G keys, which is basically a signature Logitech thing now. It also has 6 different programmable keys, and the WSD and arrow keys are highlighted, which I always think is a nice touch for gaming keyboards. It's also not mechanical because unfortunately you need to pay a higher premium for that level of control, but the connection on this thing is good, it is wired, and it's responsive and useful. We can also recommend Razer's similar product, which I think is a bit more ergonomical than the Logitech one, and that is the Razer Deathstalker. This is the basic version. You have to pay more if you want LED or RGB backlighting, and this is a pretty useful and nice keyboard, although this one, the keys are more chiclet based, so that's really down to your personal preference, but most people live and die by a more mechanical feel. It's got 10 key rollover and a really responsive space bar, and the textured bottom where your wrists rest make this definitely a very comfortable product. And while some people aren't really the biggest fans of Razer or their aesthetics, the basic version of this isn't too obnoxious and it doesn't light up like the 4th of July if that's what you're not into. And at number 2, let's talk gaming mice. The first one we can recommend is the Logitech G303. It's also known as the Daedalus. Logitech has really been stepping it up in terms of their gaming products, and the Daedalus is definitely one of its more simple but probably one of its more comfortable mouse designs. It does do a good job of feeling lightweight but not really that cheap. It also has RGB customizable lighting if that's your thing, and other than that, it's a high DPI optical mouse that pretty much performs up to the standard. The settings can switch up to 12,000 DPI, and it's a pretty responsive mouse. It's simple but effective. We can also recommend the G402, which sometimes hovers over the budget limit, but is also a pretty decent mouse nonetheless. On the flip side, we can recommend the Razer DeathAdder Essential. This is Razer's cheap, basic version of one of their most popular mouses, and this one has a 6400 DPI 4G optical sensor, and actually feels a little bit more ergonomic than the Logitech mouse. This is a tried and true, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of mouse that a lot of people swear by. It's cheap, it's affordable, but it's pretty accurate and it's comfortable, and it doesn't really light up or distract that much. And at number 1, let's talk headsets. The first one we can recommend is the Logitech G230 stereo gaming headset. This one is going to be pretty useful for you PC gamers because it's a decent and very comfortable headset that also has a microphone built in. While it is definitely not perfect and there's a lot of better headsets out there, for the price, this one looks nice and it's comfortable. It feels pretty lightweight, it's flexible, and it's geared specifically towards gaming. However, if you're all over the place, maybe you hop on PS4 and sometimes also PC, we can recommend the HyperX Cloud Stinger gaming headset. I don't know who comes up with these names. This thing works for PC, Xbox One, and PS4, and is similar to the Logitech headset in the fact that it's very light, comfortable, and subdued. The ear cups rotate and the microphone does flip up. The microphone actually sounds a little better than the Logitech one. Volume controls are on the left ear of the headset, and it's just a solid all-around headset that we see a lot of people swear by. If you look up reviews of this thing, people rave about it all the time. And we're gonna back them on that. This thing is pretty good. And if you're strictly on console, sometimes it's hard to recommend Turtle Beach, but these are probably the best ones. The Turtle Beach Ear Force Recon. They have different versions versions for PS4 and Xbox One. Basically, they're pretty cheap, functional, and comfortable stereo gaming headsets. You know, for some people, stereo gaming on console isn't ideal, but if you got a limited budget and you want something better than just a standard pack-in headset, the mic quality is decent and the sound quality is better than you'd expect. They're pretty versatile, easy to use and hook up, and all three of these headsets definitely fall in a very specific category for decent quality, decent usability for the price. And that's why we can recommend them.